Coming Back is a listener-supported podcast. To support the show and get exclusive access to podcast swag, giveaways, private grief hangouts, and more, head on over to patreon.com/ShelbyForsythia. Support the show for as little as $1 per month and change or cancel your support at any time. Thank you so much for listening. Grief growers, I am also setting sail on the 2019 Bereavement Cruise. To join me and a boatload of other grieving hearts as we travel to Haiti, Jamaica, and Mexico, go to www.comingbackcruise.com, where you can sign up to receive more information on the cruise's sail dates, grief presenters, and onboard activities. I'll see you on the open seas. Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the Season 4 finale of Coming Back. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Just like the Season 3 finale, I'm going to share with you a common theme that I picked up from listening to our guests speak this season, and a big piece of why I'm joining all of them this coming March on the 2019 Bereavement Cruise. So, listening back, to me, this entire season's theme was all about the power of finding your people. In the aftermath of loss, a lot of times it feels like our connections to everything are suddenly severed. We feel uprooted from our homes, our jobs, our identities, and our spirituality. But most detrimental to our happiness and well-being, we are severed from the people that we surrounded ourselves with before our loss. So things like suddenly our relatives aren't as patient or understanding as they used to be. Suddenly it seems like our friends don't know what to say. Suddenly our spouses and partners seem to run out of wisdom or the right kind of empathy. It's like the people around us, through no fault of their own, they just don't know what to do, what to say, how to be. Not everyone in the world is equipped to speak to, handle, love a grieving heart. Coming back requires us to make the choice to come back. Yes, this is something I've covered in finales of other seasons. Coming back requires saying yes to doing the work of sitting with our grief and looking at it and working through it. But once we've agreed to start the journey, once we've signed off, we said, yes, I'm in, let's get started. Where do we go? Then, where do we get our next set of answers? What are our next steps down the path? And for me in my world, and for all of my guests this season on Coming Back, they found that community and guidance and support when they found, quote unquote, their people. So Linda Finley found her people in a pregnancy and infant loss support group called SHARE. Glenn Lord found his people in the Compassionate Friends, which is an international support group for grievers. Peggy Langenwalter and Trish Comer found their people in each other, both having just lost their husbands. Robin Chodak found her people in a suicide survivors group. And Herb Knoll found his people in the stories of other widowers. Sometimes our people are the people we've surrounded ourselves with pre-loss grief growers. Sometimes our families and friends and coworkers are equipped to companion us through grief. But more often than not, we have to go in search of a new group, one that's been where we are now and can offer us tools and hope that life won't always look this way. Sometimes we need the reassurance that we are not alone from people who have also suffered a major loss. In the midst of grief, those people are a lot easier to believe than the people in our lives who haven't experienced something awful or life-changing. Their hearts are true to us because they have also been broken. When we find our people, we surround ourselves with the ones who just get it. Our people don't need to see fronts or reassurances that we're doing okay. They don't need to be uplifted because seeing us in pain is too hard. They don't need to be told, oh, I'm fine, or I can handle this. Your people might be a support group. They might be an online community. You might have one person instead of a bunch of people, and they're your touch point in the storm. You might be the cornerstone of a big group of people and draw other people who have lost to you to share and support. And you might still be out there looking for your people. Here's how you know that you found your people. Our people in the aftermath of loss are the ones that say, "Come in. I'm sorry that you have a reason to be there. This totally sucks. Can I just hold your hand? Are you ready to try this? I have been where you are. I have faith that you'll find a way through. Yes, I still cry about it. And yes, you will come back too." You are seen, heard, and loved. Grief Growers, I sincerely hope that you will join me on the 2019 bereavement cruise with all of our guests. Aside from the fact that this experience is a week-long adventure to places I have never been on a super tricked-out ocean liner, I am going on this trip and aligning myself with this community of grief presenters because I feel like they are my people. Going on this trip, I know that I'm going to be surrounded and embraced and taught by people who have been through devastating grief like I have. I don't have to pretend to be smart or happy or put together. I just get to show up. Grief and all. I get to walk into a room, a boat full of people who just get it, and literally nothing else is expected of me. That feeling, that level of heart space is so incredibly hard to come by in my day-to-day, and I imagine it is for yours too. We're not constantly surrounded by people who have their hearts open in this way. I know that the bereavement cruise, as loss-focused as it's going to be, is also going to be a place where I instantly click in to a group that I feel I've known forever, because we all have had this universal experience. Incredible grief over losing someone that we love. As of the release date of this podcast, there are still cabins available on the bereavement cruise, but time is running out to join us. We are a little over 4 months away. If you would like to join all of us people for a week's worth of grief support, ocean cruising, and shore excursions, please request more information at comingbackcruise.com. I cannot wait to meet you in person. If the bereavement cruise is out of your reach at the moment or doesn't resonate with your grief right now, that's okay too. I hope you'll join me and a bunch of other listeners of this podcast in my free private Facebook group, the Grief Growers Garden. We all have different losses and are struggling with different things, but come together to share photos and memories and support with each other. You can find a link to the Grief Growers Garden in the show notes for this episode. This is the power of finding your people. Grief Growers. It's really incredible. I really hope that you have found or are finding your people in the aftermath of whatever loss you're facing. Before I step away from the microphone for a little bit, I want to let you know that I'm not going away entirely. Just like Season 3, I'll be sending short mini episodes of Coming Back your way, so keep watching your podcast feed every Wednesday for a new In the Meantime episode. Another thing that you'll want to keep in mind, Grief Growers, is that I am hosting a giveaway contest. So anyone who's supporting the show on Patreon right now or pledges to support the show on Patreon before December 31st, you are automatically entered to win 2 copies of my favorite book on grief and coming back, the Grief Recovery Handbook. I say all the time that this was the book that changed my life, the lightning bolt to coming back, if you will. So I would absolutely love to send 2 copies to you, one for you and one for a friend or family member, or whatever you'd like to do with them. In addition to these 2 books, you'll also be entered to win a set of 3 Coming Back podcast stickers and a handwritten thank you note straight from my desk. This is my way of saying thank you for listening to the show and for taking the extra step, going the extra mile by supporting my work on Patreon. You can find a link to my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/ShelbyForsythia in the show notes, or you can search Shelby Forsythia on patreon.com. If you are already supporting the show on Patreon, I invite you to join me live for my next Ask Me Anything Google Hangout. This is an hour-long live conversation exclusively for supporters of this show. You get live access to me and support from me beyond this podcast, so we can talk about grief during the upcoming holidays, book or resource recommendations, or just how your life with grief is going. lately. My next hangout is scheduled for Monday, December 17th at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Once you pledge to support this podcast on Patreon, you'll gain instant access to all of my private posts, including the link to join us live. On the day of the hangout, just click the link to join the chat room and jump into the conversation whenever you're ready. I cannot wait to see you there. Lastly, grief growers, if you have suggestions, questions, comments, guests, or topics you would like to see in 2019, please send them my way. So many of our interviews and interviewees here on Coming Back come from your suggestions, and I would love to know what you want to know about the world of grief. Please email me at shelby@shelbyforsythia.com with your suggestions and questions, and you might hear them on Season 5 of Coming Back, which premieres January 2nd. Yes, 2019. I cannot wait to be back on the mic with you. This is my heart's work. I cannot wait to be here with you again. So that's all for this episode and this season of Coming Back. Thank you so much to all of our bereavement cruise guests who appeared this season. Linda Finley, Diane Spear, Sharon Ellers, Barbara J. Hopkinson, Anna Elizabeth, Kathy Cheshire, Peggy Langenwalter, Trish Comer, Robin Shodak, Linda Sheldon Fell, Herb Knoll, and Glenn Lord. I cannot wait to set sail with you and so many of my lovely podcast listeners in March of 2019. Season 5 of Coming Back debuts on January 2nd, 2019, but in the meantime, you can listen to bonus episodes released every Wednesday, enter my book giveaway on Patreon, or join me on Google Hangouts December 17th. Check out this episode again for more details on where you can find me and my work between now and Season 4. To snag your cabin on the 2019 bereavement cruise, request more information at comingbackcruise.com. Time is running out to join us in March. If you liked what you heard on Season 4 of Coming Back, you can support the show by donating at shelbyforsythia.com/donate, subscribing to and leaving a review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher, following me via email at shelbyforsythia.com, Facebook at Shelby Forsythia Intuitive Grief Guide, or Instagram at Grief Guide Shelby Forsythia, and above all else, grief growers, by sharing Coming Back with a friend, because you never know what someone you love is going through. Thank you to Mr. Addy Goldstein, who composed our incredible theme music. Once again, if you'd like to leave a question, comment, or suggestion for a future show, leave a voicemail or text 312-725-3043 or email me at shelby@shelbyforsythia.com. As always, my dear grief growers, it was beautiful sharing this space and time with you today. I see you, I am proud of you and the work that you're doing in the world, and I love you. Because even through grief, we are growing. See you in Season 5.